I'm Simon Jordan. You'll probably be familiar with me interviewing people with strong views.
But it's about time someone had a word with him about his vacuous opinions.
That's why myself, Troy Deeney, and the legend that is Graham Souness have joined forces with Mr. Simon Jordan to create Free Up Front, brought to you by William Hill.
This is a new show that tells it like it really is.
And it reaches in to all corners of the game we truly love.
Everything that matters to you is analysed through the eyes of a player,
A manager.
And an owner. As we tackle the biggest talking points in world football on Free Up Front.
So subscribe to the Upfront channel for new weekly episodes.
And don't forget to go back for some of my Upfront episodes. Not bad, if I do say so myself. Football is the gift that keeps on giving. So much to talk about. Man City's ridiculous legal action. Kevin De Bruyne's departure, potentially. Mbappe leaving PSG. But let's start with the special one. Jose Mourinho landing in Fenerbahce. And today, amongst our unholy trinity that pops up, myself and Graham are joined by Joleon Lescott. Nice to see you.
Afternoon, both.
Thanks for
You've
joining
got
us.
a crash helmet on under that beanie.
No.
Welcome to the
ready.
You'll
I
need
need
one.
one, yeah.
You'll need one working
Welcome
with
to the
him.
madhouse.
Yes.
Well, that's funny because that's the first thing that Souness ever said to me. On when I first bought Palace, first game we ever played, Blackburn away. He's the manager. I wasn't wearing a white suit like he tried to suggest that I was.
Not that you
And the
suggested. Maybe the jacket.
And the first,
That
yeah,
white
it's not the
suit.
same jacket. First thing he said was "Welcome to the madhouse." So welcome to our particular madhouse. Graham, Mourinho, back into the world of football. Didn't take him long. Didn't think it would take him long, but he's landing in Turkey, in Fenerbahce. You've managed Galatasaray, you know, with your flag planting and all that nonsense. What do you think of that?
I think he must have just fancied it. You know, he's obviously a very wealthy man, so I don't think the money would be the driving factor there. Although he's getting in excess of 10 million euros net a year.
Yeah, terrible life, isn't it?
So I don't see the money being the factor. I think he's obviously taken teams to Turkey in the past and realises how passionate they are for the game of football. And Fenerbahce are a team that right now, their president, although the elections are next week, because out there, the president gets elected every 3 years. So he's in for his third term, and he's got a big rival, which is the old president from 6 years ago. So whether he gets in or not, because he's only won one cup in the 6 years, and of course Galatasaray have dominated that period, so he's under real pressure. But he's obviously fancying a challenge, and he will love it. You know, if it goes well for him, he will love it, and that's a big if. Little word, but
what's the
meaning.
culture like over there? I mean, obviously, in every country, you've got a different culture of attitude from your favourite species, the owners, but also from the public and the players and the expectation levels from the media. What's he going to walk into? Because you know what he's like.
I don't think. I would liken it to Glasgow,
Right.
where you just have to win the league. If you finish second, you think you've had a good year. No, you've not. Because it generally means the team on the other side of Glasgow has won it. So that brings its pressure. That's the same in Istanbul. Listen, you're talking to someone who's worked in Real Madrid,
Yeah.
where the biggest pressures imaginable.
Yeah.
He's someone that's been here in the Premier League and understands the pressures of here. He's been in Rome. If it goes well for him, they will love him.
Yeah.
You know, because they love that bravado. They love that something.
Spike in his step.
Yeah. Come on, bring it on. I'm up for your challenge. And if it goes well for him, he will be adored. He'll be adored right now, but then when the games start next year, then that could quickly change. But if it goes for him, I fully understand why he's going there.
Yeah.
What you got a view on Mourinho? I mean, you'd have been around. We've seen him in all his incarnations. Have you got an overall view on Mourinho? I'm a big Mourinho admirer.
I'm a big fan as well. I think he's a manager that you could trust his word. I don't think he's trying to manipulate any situations. And as a player, you want honesty. You know, I can understand that. You may not want to hear what he's got to say all the time, but you can believe that it's the right thing for the team, which again is important. But touching on what Graham said, I think the connection with the fans would be a massive thing. The ambition to get them in Champions League and win trophies, because if it was about money, I'm sure he would have had an offer from Saudi.
As a player,
more lucrative.
As a player, I mean, you've played for various managers. John Terry spoke to me the other day about the kind of culture that Mourinho created once upon a time, which was these boys were his champions, and he built them up to be 10 foot tall. And it now feels like sometimes Mourinho doesn't quite do that anymore, and he uses his players to throw them under the bus. I don't think he does. I think he makes them accountable. But would you have liked to have played for Mourinho?
Yeah, definitely. Because you would have been winning. Like, you would have been challenging for titles and winning stuff, so definitely would have enjoyed.
Is that because you're a defender?
No, just because you're a footballer. Like, I'm sure forwards enjoyed playing for him. You asked Drogba about Mourinho, he's going to speak positive about him.
Well, the reason why I said that, I don't know what you think, Craig, about his style of play, because the perception is
Parking the bus.
the parking of the bus.
Yeah.
You know, the 1-0 outcome. So for a defender, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah and no. Again, it's not always going to be enjoyable, but you also got to respect what's needed for the team. Because I'm confident that if other managers would have took that approach, i.e., Arteta last year at Etihad, they would have won the league. If they go there not to lose rather than going there to win, which they did this year, I felt, then they maintain their gap and win the league.
I think he's a pragmatic manager. I think coach. I think he's not shy. If it means parking the bus, he'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, what's right for this 90 minutes, what's right for this 45 minutes. He will adapt that plan. And I think that's good management and that's clever management.
Well, it's a business of winning, isn't it?
Yeah.
You had a chance to go to Turkey, right?
Yeah. When leaving City, went over there and actually signed for Besiktas.
Oh,
so
did
there's two. I think this is how it still
works. It's a
works.
graveyard of people's careers, isn't it?
Yeah, you signed. Well,
it was at the end for you.
No, it was after City. So I was 31. I still have
a
couple decent years, couple decent years left in me. Signed the pre-contract and then thought I'll go over there, and because everyone talking how glamorous the city was, and
it's a great city,
but it wasn't that glamorous for me. Like, I'm not really a massive fan of London. It's like London on steroids, how hectic it is. And then
what do you mean you're not a massive fan of London?
Yeah, now you know why.
You mean culture and sophistication?
Julian, let me
the fashion.
reassure you.
Well, look to the fashion.
Don't worry about yourself.
It's a great city.
No, I can imagine.
And friendly people.
Yeah.
And I go back at least once a year and I love it. Great food.
But your reputation there is more glamorous than probably mine would be.
I'm okay in one half of the city.
Yeah, better say, yeah.
I'd get hung, drawn and quartered.
And that's literally what I was told. I was going the far side, the serious side. Besiktas is there.
So you signed for them?
I signed the pre-contract.
No, Besiktas is European side.
Yeah, but it's the closest city, the closest side to the bridge. So
well, no, you're actually on the water. The stadium's on the water.
Yeah.
It's arguably the best located football stadium in the world.
Yeah.
Besiktas.
Yeah, it was nice. And there was a new stadium being built.
Big
So
brand
it
new
had a lot of plus points, but when I went there, it was kind of like,
Not for you.
Like the schooling, I didn't want to be without my kids. My daughter was just being born, and I was just like, it's not going to fit.
So I think Mourinho. I mean, obviously we're watching Mourinho, and we'll wind up on Mourinho in a second. But I don't know where it isn't a step up, though, is it, Graham? I mean, we are watching
I know
somebody.
where you're going.
You're landing into Fenerbahce. It's not an ascent, is it?
I think the criteria has changed for the modern day manager stroke coach. Like, I think it's. They want to have more influence over the coach, hence why I feel younger coaches are getting more opportunities because they can be more influenced.
They could be more valuable.
Yeah,
less entrenched.
And they're teaching.
You're not getting that with him, are you?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why he's not as attractable to.
It's a really interesting one, and you're trying to dig it. It's not for the dosh.
No.
He could have got more money by going to.
It was also not philanthropic, is it?
I think it's for his own reason.
Someone sold him.
He was getting top dough anywhere, though, wasn't he? He wasn't going to not get top dough.
Sure, but I mean, what the point is there is an element of it is. I'm not suggesting it shouldn't be wrong because everyone does everything for money.
I don't think that's the first reason.
If they said to him, "You can come over and manage our team, but we're going to give you $2 million a year," I think it would have been a quiet response, wouldn't it?
But he could have got 20 million in Saudi.
Yeah, I think if anyone offers him $2 million, he's going to say no.
Yeah,
because I don't think he's going to choose based on money.
So it's not project; it's money as well.
Still full of beans. I was in a restaurant in London last week, and he was there. And
who was paying for dinner?
Certainly not me.
I can imagine.
It was an expensive one, and he came over, and he's full of beans. He's still like he was.
So he should be
20 odd years ago.
It's a great job, isn't it? I mean, being a football manager, irrespective of the pressure.
I think it's a challenge. I think he's obviously taken teams to Turkey. He knows the passion. He
may just want to feel loved, and they definitely love him. They're
he's got a task on his hand, isn't he? Because Fenerbahce haven't won the league for 10 years.
You say that. The big difference between Galatasaray and Fenerbahce lost one game last year.
And subsequently lost the league.
And they got a record amount of points last year, but still came second.
Yeah.
A record for the Turkish league. Yeah. So that shows you how well my old team did.
Moving off that, I was just come back from being in America, and I went to see the MLS. And I went to have a look at what's going on there because obviously there's this Messi phenomenon. And the reason why I mention it is because these leagues that are being utilised by players coming to the end of their careers. But I was kind of stunned, Graham, because I put a team in America in 2006 in the USL, which is the second tier of professional football, and in America, and I wanted to utilise it to be able to get my younger players playing during the pre-season, so they weren't just playing in the stiffs, right? They were getting some proper games and also competitive games. And I also thought that we can get some players coming the other way. 2006.
You were ahead of the game.
I was been a pioneer.
I was,
then,
yeah, absolutely innovative.
Like MLS too.
Just realise that, right? You're in the presence of juniors, and you don't.
Someone must have suggested that. It wasn't your idea.
It was my idea, right? Anyway, and quickly also because I had Greg Berhalter, who was who's now the US national coach playing in my side, and Jovan Karofsky went over there.
So it was their idea.
No, it wasn't their idea, but it gave me a thought process, and then I thought to myself, talent's coming from there. I can also get ahead of the curve for American talent coming in. And of course, we've seen Clint Dempsey, Landon Donovan, Brian McBride, and a few others, Tim Howard, and so on and so forth. But the standard was shit, right? And
what, then or now? You want about?
No, then, right? So you accepted it. You thought, well, it's a fledgling league, right? It's only got started in '96. Forget about what happened in the '70s in the North American, soccer league.
They were playing different rules then as well.
A whole different dynamic, right? So I expected when I went back there now, 28 years into the creation of the MLS, and of course, all these different stars that have been over there, Ibrahimovic or
David
Gerrard
Beckham,
or
Steven Gerrard,
Beckham
Frank Lampard.
and Lampard and whoever else, and Freddie Ljungberg. And of course, you've got Messi. But I was kind of gobsmacked with it because
there's no way you're telling me the standard hasn't improved. And Messi's in there.
Messi's a stroll up. It is. I mean, everywhere I went in Miami is Messi-centric.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got this museum, which is either a cathedral to narcissism or exploitation. I couldn't work out which one it is.
Sure, he's getting paid, so is it the exploited?
Yeah, but he's part of the broadcast deal. So the broadcast deal they've got with Apple, Messi's on the back of.
Yeah.
Of course, he's a wonder on the field, but they can't pass the ball to him because he's not good enough. Suarez looks like he belongs in a wheelchair. The quality of the football was absolutely League One, League Two at the very best. And it kind of disappointed me to see Messi in that space. So now when I hear the segue from this is De Bruyne at 32 years of age, clearly laying a flag down to say, I can earn more money in one season at Manchester City.
2 seasons.
2 seasons. Thank you for the detail.
Yeah.
We're not good at that often this time in this show, detail.
I just do interesting stuff.
Yeah, you do, apparently. And going to Saudi.
Is this a long story?
No, I'm setting the scene for you to be able to give a meaningful answer.
To
What do you think to that? 32 years of age, going from playing in arguably the greatest team, albeit some of Manchester City's behaviour recently is preposterous, and maybe we'll speak about that, on to... Or maybe we'll speak about it because we have a similar view. He probably doesn't. He's probably on the payroll. Man City won't say anything, right? But we've got one of the world's greatest players.
He's not denied it, by the way.
Still, I know he didn't quiet on that one.
What, the payroll?
Going to Saudi. What do you think? I mean, the quality over there isn't great. The standard isn't great.
I think Saudi's a different angle than MLS. I think you can go MLS for lifestyle. Like where Messi's gone, Spanish speaking, his English isn't great. His family are happy. His kids can grow up there, develop, and have a great life.
And get 50 million.
Even if it's 40, it's enough.
Oh, yes,
but in regards to Saudi, I think Saudi is more for money. I think you are making that decision based on money. I don't think you'll necessarily go into Miami solely for the money because you could have got more.
Miami's a Latin city. You're spot on.
That's what I mean.
I mean, going there, his wife will love it. He'll love it.
He's signing his mates, and he's earned the right to make that decision.
I suppose there's an argument, right, which could be that we heard a load of old tosh from Jordan Henderson about going over there to raise the profile of the game, right, and to be able to help them overcome their terrible outlooks towards human rights, right. And really what we've got from Kevin De Bruyne is a bit of honesty, which is, it's a great big bag of money, and I want to be having it delivered to me every week from Brinks
I was guilty of that when I left Liverpool.
What, doing things for money?
That
doesn't
I just
sound
said,
like you, Graham.
I said I'm going to Italy because I'm going to earn a lot more money when I go to Italy. I was honest about it. But for Kevin De Bruyne, Kevin, I think in the last 2 years has missed 39 games.
Yeah.
And I think it's closer to 50 over 3 seasons.
And Kevin's a great footballer. Yeah, he's a great footballer. I don't think he's a great athlete. So he may understand his body more than we understand and think, you know what, I need a lower level of intensity.
Yeah, money for old rope, basically.
No, that's harsh.
Money for old rope?
No. He's earned the right to be in a position.
It's not money for old rope. Go and get 150 million quid for playing in the Saudi football, which is a pub league.
Would you do it at his stage in his career.
At any stage,
No,
like you
it
can't.
has to be at the end.
No, but you
Has to be at the
can't.
end.
You can't make that decision if you haven't been put in that position. No one can say to me they wouldn't go to Saudi at any stage
Well, you
if
got
someone's
the- you got-
offering you 200 million.
I did. I was offered to go to Saudi last week.
Not for 200 million.
Well, that's true.
There you go. So you can't make that decision.
No, but he did. The Wolves winger, didn't he? He went when he's
Neves.
yeah, just approaching
Yeah.
his best. But I don't hold anything against Messi for doing what he's doing.
No.
Ronaldo, they've earned their stripes.
their
But don't you
And
want to
I
play?
think De Bruyne goes as well. No one
But just
could
as
argue with
athletes,
that.
right? Just as athletes, playing at the highest level for as long as, given the fact that most players, I know there's a few, I know the kid at Arsenal doesn't like football, Ben White, but most people play football because they love it and they can do very well
And you
out
want
of
to
it.
play at the highest level for as long as you
But
can.
that's my point.
Yes.
So
but,
what-
but,
so
but
why
your
are you
position
arguing?
may not warrant and your style of game, like Tony Kroos, he could still play.
I think he knows.
Yeah, but
His days are
the
numbered.
way he plays his position means he could still play. Where if you're dynamic,
Did
like
you ever have a
Ronaldo was,
period coming to the end of your playing career where there was for me, it was a black and white moment where I thought, I'm done at this level. That happened to you?
Yeah, I had moments when I realised this is happening.
I had a moment.
No, so I had just more regular moments, and it was like, oh, this is happening too often. I don't feel as strong or as quick as I felt, and it was taking longer to recover. Not that I don't think I could have got that. I was willing to
Or was it
drop
clear
down.
that you was on the bench all the time?
Yeah, and I was on the bench. I was going to drop down to the championship, but like I said, because I wanted to play.
Right.
But if Saudi was an option, I would have gone.
I was 34.
But from an honest point of view, though, because I can't
started
stand
by
it,
saying I
Graham.
was 34. I'm about to tell a very interesting
What, IQ?
story. A professional one. So I'm 34 at Glasgow Rangers playing a six-a-side. If the ball was there, I could step over it and protect someone coming to try to take it from me just by sort of squatting down and being stronger than them. A guy called Ian Ferguson this day, who was signed to be 22, 23, bigger version of me, just pushed me aside and took the ball off me. And I was like, well, did that just happen? And that was a black and white moment for me. I knew I was done then.
Yeah.
You're going to realise very quickly that the best stories and the most interesting stories are Graham's. Right?
Rightly so. Is that the best career?
We all have to sit
Out
there.
of all of them at this table?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on.
Absolutely. I employ
You're
people.
sitting in a company
I employ
of a
people
man
like
who
you.
sacked 8 managers in 3 years.
He's got some stories.
It's gone on now. It's gone on now.
saying, yeah.
Was it 5?
My only regret is I didn't employ you, so I could have sacked you.
That would have been 10 managers there.
A couple of names that will be very relevant to you. I'm talking about Vincent Kompany and Wayne Rooney. And I'm not talking about them as players.
Managers.
Because there's no criticism from me. Vincent Kompany, to me, is the archetypal leader on the field. But and I don't know about you, I'm jaw dropped when the qualification for getting into the top job in German football
Winning
is
5 games.
winning 5 games and getting relegated. And then you've got Wayne, who thinks I've got an agenda against him. I haven't. I think if you do something, you're in the public domain, you're open to observations, both good and bad. Landing at Plymouth. You've played with both of these players.
Yeah.
You know both of these players personally. Put aside the media perception of them. What do you think? And I don't want you to sit there being a little sycophant. I want you to answer properly what you think about the reality of Kompany going into Bayern Munich and Wayne getting his 4th cab off the rank and see if he can get his win record above 20%.
Yeah, let's start with Vinny. I think if there was a fair process and they've interviewed every candidate with a level-minded approach, Vinny earned that job. Because I know for a fact he went in there and he impressed them so much, you don't see it other than Vinny for the job. So if that's what it's based on, then he was definitely the right man for the job. But also, I didn't hear that level of concern when Alonso was getting Leverkusen.
Oh, hold on.
But
Leverkusen was second to bottom in the league. And
So what does that matter? They're still in the top league. So
But they weren't undefeated.
But they're not Bayern Munich.
Exactly. So maybe that's the reason for it. It's like, well, all
I'm
these
not understanding your
logic
connection.
connection. So Alonso got a job off the back of nothing. So that was his argument. Is that off the back of a
Alonso's
relegation?
playing in the Bundesliga, the same as Bayern Munich, and they have taken the championship off Bayern Munich. And
No, but when he got the job,
there's no criteria for him getting it.
No, but there's a big difference, an enormous difference between Bayern Munich and little old Leverkusen.
100%. But there's a
Enormous.
massive difference between getting promoted in the championship and managing the 23s in Spain, and that's their criteria coming into it.
I'm not following you.
So the fact that you're saying the massive difference between Leverkusen and Bayern Munich.
Yeah,
but Lonzo was coming from the 23s to get a job in the top league, where Vinny's coming from a promotion.
We had a bit of a history in Germany.
And a
As a
relegation.
player, though, but as a player.
And a relegation.
Yeah.
So your logic is this, right? And I hear it, right? People can interview really well, you know.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest bullshitters in the world I've ever met
100%.
can interview really well, and then they get in their job and they couldn't find their answer with both hands in the funnel. And so from that point of view, that's great. But you've got to look. I was talking to the fella from Plymouth the other day, and we'll get on to about Rooney, who literally said to me, this is the Plymouth chairman, right? We didn't interview Wayne on the basis of his track record. We didn't look at his record. We weren't interested in his record. We only interviewed him on the back of his and only gave him a job on the back of his interview. So you didn't take into consideration what he's done before. You only took into consideration that he can interview very well. I mean, and I said to the fella, I've never heard anything so preposterous. But he's had nuance behind every. Well, everyone's got nuance. If you get a sack, there's always nuance to it. You've had 150 games. You've got a 21% win record. So my point is, the interviewing side of things is one thing. I'm trying to make the step, and I don't know whether you are coming with me, Graham. It's Graham and I are in a situation where I can see the Alonso step, right? Coming from under 23 football.
Now you can.
No.
It's not a small
At the
team.
time.
But he was coming from a lesser role.
Yeah, but Leverkusen are a small team.
But with no experience.
Bayern Munich are in the top 3 or 4.
In world
Clubs in
football.
the
100%. Yeah, but Alonso was going there with no experience at first team football. Vinny's going there with an experience of getting promoted and having a process. Granted, it didn't work last season, but Bayern Munich obviously have employed him for the process and the structure.
Well, here's my criticism of Vinny didn't change from the
100%.
first game to last
I agree.
game.
That's the bit I have.
I was a season ticket holder at Bournemouth, and I watched Eddie Howe do the exact same. And basically, what you're doing when you play Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, you're saying we're going to take you on at your strengths. We're going to take you on at your game, and we're going to outscore you. No, you won't.
100%.
There's only one winner. It was like madness at times, and that's why they end up getting relegated.
No, I agree. I agree with all that.
And that's what Vinny did last year.
But I also believe
change.
Coaches now, not necessarily just Vinny, are advertising their style for the
and
opportunity.
the sacrifice and results for that.
Bearing in mind, he did turn down Spurs the year before when he got promoted. So as much as we're saying he's saying that to the owner.
You keep coming back to Barcelona. Sorry, Bayern.
I know that.
Behind
You know that, do you?
Yeah.
Behind
You know that Kompany got offered a job at Spurs?
Yeah.
You do you?
Joleon,
Okay.
behind Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man United, Liverpool, there's that group of 5. Bayern are in that.
Oh, 100%.
They're in that. So how
top 3?
we come back to
arguably.
All right, so
how does someone who with such a poor CV as a manager end up with that job?
I think it's
saying.
the question. The bigger question is, how does a club then go for a manager?
Well, that's the point. We're not going to square this circle because what his argument
and you know
is.
what's going to happen? He'll do very well there because he's inherited a group of players.
There you go. That he can.
A good group of players that'll be angry about this year.
But also can execute the stuff he's doing.
They can play that way with him.
Here's the thing for you two boys as former players, right? You're just hypothesize for a second. You're in Bayern Munich, the biggest team in German football, right? And one of you is Harry Kane. But you're Souness and you're Lescott, right? 2 big players. And you're looking for some recalibration of the fact that someone had the audacity to take the lead from you, right?
You're super angry.
So what happens now is, I know, let's get a fella that managed Burnley in. How are you going to react to that as players?
See, do you think the Chelsea players were saying that when it was Graham Potter?
Well, I don't know. Yeah. I'm asking you because you're players.
Yeah. But again, I think they're going to have a respect for Vinny because he's got respect in the game for what he's done. Like, forget he's even just as a player.
As a player.
But he's still, that carries weight.
But you players, at the moment someone walks in the dressing room and says something you don't agree with,
you get that's
30
a week.
seconds. We'll get a week.
You work him out in a week. As a player, you work him out in a week.
100%. So it might not last him the whole...
But his job is just to manage the dressing room. That's where his job will start and that's where it will end. That's his boundary.
I think it's just the coach. I don't even think it's the manager dressing room.
Then you get busy owners come in. Why am I doing busy owners?
It's not busy owners.
I could have done that.
It's the ones that employ you, pay you, and ultimately hold you up when you're failing.
I could have done that. Could have busy owners, but that's sort of gravitated to
magnet.
Right. Okay. You can't join a club, boys. Right.
And then change the rules.
And then go into the club and go, I tell you what, I don't like the rules. So not only am I going to sue the club, I'm going to sue all its members.
Why is it always about money?
Because you lot make it all about money.
No. Because when people talk about money, it's like 150 million. Do you think you could have done it for 100 million, what he was doing?
But that's not... What's that got to do with the price of cheese?
Money, exactly. So the money is irrelevant.
There's nothing guaranteed for Real Madrid by slinging Mbappe. Are they going to be better? Yes.
Yeah.
But does that guarantee them winning La Liga or the European Cup? No.
So La Liga, it might guarantee.
Yeah, La Liga. Yeah. What about
Wayne?
Do you think when you sat with Wayne Rooney, and everyone's entitled to change and pivot and become something, and we all grow up, don't we? Some of us do, anyway.
Yeah, Wayne's a leader. I don't know if he's a manager because I don't know. I haven't worked under him, but I will play with him at club level to know that. But in terms of, I understand why Plymouth will get Wayne. I think he's got all his jobs off his.
This is autograph hunting, though, isn't it?
For them,
yeah.
Possibly.
He's the biggest signing they've ever made in history.
Possibly, yeah.
But
he's not in a position.
Managed him once.
He's not in a position to be selective.
I'll just say 106 caps for England. You call him Wazza as well, do you?
No. I don't know Wayne. I've met him several times.
Yeah, but again, he's not in a position to...
He's not?
No, to be selective, exactly. So
he's a beggar. I'm talking about the choosers.
He's got the job because he was such a wonderful football player.
And I think that's fundamentally flawed. I want Wayne Rooney to be successful because I want English managers to be successful. I want the next generation of successful managers to be British. Moving off Rooney and the character assassination that you two have done on him.
Hold on, who's the one?
I don't
know. I didn't know what we were talking about, Wayne, or we talking about Plymouth.
No, well, Plymouth isn't irrelevant in the conversation. Wayne Rooney is the conversation.
What's he done wrong? Like, he's been offered a job. He wasn't going to get many other offers, so he had to take it.
You're missing the point. It's not about what he's done wrong. He's been given an opportunity. The question is, A, do you think he's going to capitalise on that opportunity? And B, do you think he merits it?
I don't. Because I didn't hear them in the question.
That's what I think.
What's that?
The survey says, we asked 100 people whether Wayne Rooney would be a successful manager. I'm just saying. Do you think that's a bit mean-spirited?
Yeah.
You do? It's harsh.
It's harsh. You'll be getting another call from Stretford after this.
Yeah, old Paul Stretford. He can come blow it out of his arse.
Have you ever thought about joining the diplomatic service?
Yeah, I have no intention of being diplomatic to Paul Stretford. None whatsoever. I had plenty more than enough of him over the years. We've seen a lovely little parting of the ways from Mbappe going to Real Madrid and lovely messaging back. I suspect to Nasser El-Khelafi, my mate, about how terrible it was for him, at PSG picking up his 150 million quid a year and this, that and the other.
Why is it always about money?
Because you lot make it all about money.
No. Because when people talk about money, it's like 150 million. Do you think you could have done it for 100 million, what he was doing?
But that's not... What's that got to do with the price of cheese?
Money, exactly. So the money is irrelevant because when people talk about money, you couldn't do it for more.
But it's an appreciation. The thing I find, and Graham will probably disagree with me, is sometimes you walk around like impending doom, like the world's on your shoulders, when really the opportunities that you have are so wonderful that if most of you were told at the beginning of your career that you would be in a situation that you were in, you'd do nothing but appreciate it.
Maybe he gets to that point when he's, say, in the greatest respect, your age, and he's had more life experience to understand that isn't the...
My age?
Football isn't everything. I've learned way more.
He's younger than you. What you want about?
I was just repeating what our guest
I'm more
said.
aware of them things now. But when I'm a player, you're in a bubble. You just think that's what the world revolves around. And it's Mbappe, so the world does revolve around him.
I'll take the context.
What was your question?
My question was about...
Should he be happier because he earns more money?
I had to know it wasn't. I had to lay a barb down before I move into my real question. Right, which is Mbappe landing at Madrid. Are we going to see this now increase the opportunity for a dynasty being built at Real Madrid over the Europe? I mean, they've already got it.
What do you mean the dynasty being built? It's there. It's existed for the last
10
years.
A continuation of it then.
It gives them a better chance.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't guarantee anything. It gives them a great chance to emulate what they've done more than anyone else, is win the big cup with the big years. That's all it does. It does not guarantee anything.
It's probably the first signing.
Man City must have been sitting at home on Saturday night with one eye closed, watching that cup final because they were so much better than Real Madrid in that quarter final.
Yeah, of course, but again,
but that's
Real
cup
Madrid,
football. Yeah. So there's nothing guaranteed for Real Madrid by slinging Mbappe.
And they have to sign in players. He's probably the argument.
Are
they going to be better? Yes. Yeah. But does that guarantee them winning La Liga or the European Cup? No.
So La Liga, it might guarantee.
Yeah, La Liga.
I think that's...
Because Barcelona
I don't think it's a great Real Madrid team, by the way.
No. But
This-
I think
this
it's
one-
the first
this one is
Galactico
special.
they've signed. Like, they've got Galacticos there now. Like, Jude is obviously that stature, but he wasn't when they signed him, where Mbappe's come in with that aura, like Cristiano, and that focus on him, like the Galacticos
See, I
from
know
the
nothing
previous.
about Mbappe, but if he turns up with a big head on and wants the whole thing to revolve around him, Real Madrid are maybe the only club in the world that would say, or maybe Man
But
City now, you might not be for us. You got to start.
Nah, but I think
to
that's why
unlock.
they've kept Ancelotti. I think he's the person to
Yeah.
manage that level of ego that you
Ego.
might have, that you possibly do have when you are arguably the best player in the world.
Who are the managers that you've played for? Just read them off for me.
Mancini,
Mancini.
Capello, Pellegrini,
Yeah.
David Moyes,
Yeah.
Glenn Huddle,
Yeah.
best manager I played for.
Really?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
many did you get the sack?
I didn't get that. They got there themselves.
Defenders,
No,
defenders
that's
get
a
the
vet.
sack.
It's a,
How
Oh,
many
that's
left?
an interesting- I'll let that one
How
go,
many
actually.
left? How many left when I was there?
yeah.
How many did you get?
simple
How many
question.
did you get the sack?
I'm
Wow.
trying to choose other words. How many? No, there isn't any other words. How many managers did you get the fucking sack? Because we have some record to beat. We've
Well,
got,
Troy.
I didn't mention.
Troy's
his
got
name.
six.
Compared with
I
Troy,
think
yeah.
he's-
Troy's sitting
I
president.
think he's sitting 18 managers. that got the sack.
Yeah.
And he's quite happy with that as well.
Of course he is.
He's
Yeah.
proud of it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Watford, being at Watford is
No,
that's
no,
liable.
but don't
That's
cut him any
liable.
slack. He was there. He was part of a group that got that manager the sack.
Okay.
I think he was the
18 of the
ringleader of
fuckers.
it.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree.
18.
No, Troy. I'm definitely not 18.
I was going to ask you a question about managing egos and managing the players and being able to manage the big time players that play at these clubs. And you've been playing at big clubs and you've played under big managers. When you look back on them, who was the manager that you thought was the best at managing this generation of players?
This generation.
Which is your generation still.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, kind of.
big time money players.
And you are framed slightly differently. Does a manager today have to be a different person
Yeah.
to when your first manager, the ones you got
100%.
the sack early on?
Definitely. But I also believe Glenn Huddle would have been a relative manager in today's era, managing the players. I think he would have got a stronger connection.
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, I like Glenn, but I heard from a few players, and I won't drop them in there by saying it, that when Glenn managed them, because he was such a player himself,
Yeah.
he was frustrated at top players' inability to do the things that he could do. And they felt it.
I definitely feel that's the case with managers, like top players going into management. I definitely feel that's the thing. But I think over time, you then realise not everyone's going to be able to. And I had this conversation with Ashley Cole. Like, he went into a club and he said it was worse than he thought. And I said, yeah, because you're probably having to ask them to do that 2 or 3 times where you've probably understood it like that. They're having to finish the sentence and it's hard to understand.
I never went on a coaching course as a manager. When I got sacked, I thought, that's
that'll-
at Newcastle, I'm done. I'm done. I never want to be a manager again after the Newcastle experience. So I said, I will go on a coaching
He
course.
thinks that's his choice, by the way.
I went on this coaching course, and the only thing I took away from the coaching course was just what you said.
Yeah.
You got to revisit, was the term. Revisit. Basically, you got to repeat yourself and repeat yourself and repeat yourself until the message finally drops. My upbringing at Liverpool, Ronnie Moran would say, look, we've told you once.
Yeah.
This is the second time
Figure it out.
I'm going to tell you. I won't be telling you again. All it means, son, is you're not a Liverpool player. And that was the only thing I gleaned from this coaching course I went on.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that you've got to understand how they learn and interpret the information. And if they don't, then you're struggling.
So who was?
Who was the best manager at that?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a tough one. None of them was great.
What was
David
Mancini
Moyes.
like?
Yeah, he struggled. That was the reason why he left. Because
Right.
we got him the sack. But again, he
See,
kind
we-
of fell out. He
Fell
fell out
out, weren't
of.
they?
He fell out of love, and he wanted to be that friend and to certain players.
How'd you get in the sack?
Well, he lost. He didn't
Mr.
select me for the
Chairman, can
FA
we
Cup
have a
final,
word?
and they lost. That's
Was
how
that
he got the
Wigan?
sack. Yeah. So I didn't
Oh,
play.
Ben Watson, one of my old players.
Yeah. So the fact that
You
that's how he got the
find
sack.
he's got lots of old players.
No, he's the one that missed the
managers.
penalty. He's the one that missed the penalty in the playoffs.
Just
Semi-final.
left a bit on.
Sent me to the poorhouse. What? What did you say?
He just left it on you.
What did you do?
He said he's got a lot of players, and I said
he
I'm
said,
managers.
Yes, indeed
And
I have. Yeah, indeed I have. Because
Just an
you lot are
observation.
so weak sometimes that it's unbearable. It's difficult having to hold you up sometimes, giving you the opportunity, giving you a little bit of rope to run with, and most of the time you
Thank
don't hang
you.
yourselves with it. Right.
I like to
The best
say,
that
I'm the voice.
Simon, to go back to your question, the best that I would have experienced would have been Glenn.
Right. Interesting.
That's because he
Interesting.
picked you all the time.
No, not just because of that, but just because I
Well, was that
learned
at
them.
Wolves?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
felt the connection, and there was a relationship where he could criticise, and then
Were you there with Pellegrini at Man City?
yeah.
You got
He's
him.
a liar.
You got him the fucking
No,
stage.
I left before him. So yeah, first season we won the title, and then I left.
You
Job done.
called him something then.
I don't call it nothing. I would do, but I didn't.
He must be a good lip reader.
Talking about Man City, let's see if you guys can follow on this train of thought and see if you've got anything to say about it. Have you seen what Man City have just done? I mean, I'm gobsmacked with it. I think it's outrageous. I think it's they've launched a claim against the Premier League and the member clubs to suggest that associated party transactions are unlawful, i.e. the questioning of it, and they're going to sue potentially the league.
Associated parties.
Over clubs?
Businesses that they own. So basically, if I own a football club, right, and my focus is I want to make this football club really, I'd be able to have some competitivity, and I need
immediately.
So I've got a big business over here, right, and I'm going to sell my shirt sponsorship. The market value of my shirt sponsorship is 10 million quid, right, but my other business over here that I own can pay 30 million quid for it.
That.
It's not fair value. It's not reflective of the marketplace, and that's what they've been accused of, right, and that's the argument that they're facing, right. It's one thing it's bad enough being accused of potentially cheating. It's even worse when you're trying to bully the headmaster because he wants to expel you. What Man City are doing at this moment in time, I think, is an absolute disgrace. I think they're bringing the game into disrepute. If this is fit and proper persons, I don't know what fit and proper persons means anymore. I think it's absolutely shocking. You can't join a club, boys, right?
And then change the rules.
And then go into the club and go, I tell you what, I don't like the rules. So not only am I going to sue the club, I'm going to sue all its members. It's outrageous. What did they say? The tyranny of the majority. Oh, so what would you bloody rather have? The tyranny of the minority then? One person gets to define. What's the next thing then? We decide that we don't like the rules anymore, so we're not going to play X amount of games. It's an outrage, and people need to be really offended by this. Not because it's Man City, and not because Man City are not a beautiful football team, but because this is one step too far. Financial fair play is one argument, right? You don't want financial fair play? Get the 20 clubs together and get them to vote for it, right? And change it because that's the constitution that you accept. Right? You can't have one club because it's got more money than everybody else suddenly decide that it's going to sue the framework in which it's participating and change the rules because that's what it wants to do.
Because it doesn't suit them.
And because it doesn't suit them. It's appalling. And if I were in the Premier League now, I would be looking
as a manager. You mean?
As an owner? I wouldn't be a manager. I want a proper job.
Owner.
I would be campaigning to expel them, not because I don't like who owns them, not because I don't like this and like that. This is one step too far.
They're challenging the fabric of our game.
Indeed, they are.
They're going as far as they possibly can to say you're all wrong and we're going to sue you and prove you're wrong.
I'm not against Middle Eastern money. I'm not against American money. I'm not against the fella Serbian money at Southampton. I don't care whose money it is. But I care that there's a framework that everybody agrees, and you play within that framework. And if you don't like it,
don't join.
Then you don't join. I mean, how can you go into a club? It's like going into a club, signing up a membership, and then taking a great big shit in the foyer. People would say, "We don't want you in. We don't want you in this club." And if you don't want to be part of that club, change it.
Taking it forward, how will the rest of the clubs view Man City right now?
Well, they should be up in arms.
Now, how will they view them?
It'll only be the owners that will have a view. Players won't have a.
They'll be appalled.
View players.
They'll be appalled.
Players won't be aware. Won't be. Have enough knowledge of the situation.
That's my dime store tour. I've got it off my chest, and I am going to scream about it. Not because I feel that I want to have anything particularly going up Manchester City, because I admire them massively on the field. But this is a bad day for English football. What's broken about the Premier League that we need to strangle it? Why do we need to regulate it? Everything's flying along. There's a few clubs that have a few problems, but everything has a problem in life. It's this. When you basically say, nah, this doesn't suit. Be careful where this takes you.
Toby laughing tonight. The president of the Spanish FA,
Tabis,
because he's been on about it for a long time, hasn't he? The wrongs of our game.
Anyway, brings us to the end of this show. Our next show, we're going to cover and look at the impending Euros 2024 and what we expect from Mr. Southgate.
Yes.
Well done, boys.
This has been 3 Up Front, brought to you by William Hill.
Subscribe to the channel for weekly episodes.
And don't forget to go back for some of my upfront episodes. Not bad, if I do say so myself.
18 plus, please gamble responsibly.